Oh, this is such bullshit. Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and the funny thing is today I had actually filmed another video that is long overdue, and it was a happy video welcoming you back to the channel in the new year. That would have been a much more pleasant video to begin the year on. Unfortunately, we got to talk about this stupid news from Disney. And yes, I have a lot to say about it. This might not be a short video. I don't know for sure. Just giving you a heads up. It might not be short. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe before we get any further, just in case you need to come back to it because, boy, is this ridiculous. So anyway, as you can see, Pixar's next movie, Turning Red, is going to be skipping theaters and going straight to Disney+. Now, CNET's article says, after Soul and Luca, another Pixar premiere shows COVID-induced box office chaos is far from over. No, I'm going to correct that right from the get-go. This does not show that COVID-induced box office chaos is far from over. This is Disney being stupid. This is Disney being stupid and disrespectful, I would go so far to say. Let's just make that abundantly clear from the get-go. Disney did not have to do this. In fact, there is a lot to suggest that Disney did not need to do this. But anyway, let's look at this article. You probably know this is going. So, box office reshuffles continue. That's a reference to Morbius moving from January to April, but I think that moved for a different reason other than COVID. So anyway, the next Pixar movie, Turning Red, will go straight to Disney Plus instead of opening in theaters. Turning Red stars a young girl who unwittingly transforms into a giant red fluffy panda when things get awkward. The flick will premiere on Disney's streaming platform on Friday, March 11th. You'd think Pixar would be a safe bet for box office success, but this is the third Pixar animated movie Disney's decided to divert from a theatrical release to a streaming premiere. Soul was released on Disney Plus in 2020, followed by Luca in 2021. Turning Red will still open in theaters in countries where Disney Plus hasn't yet launched, but the service is already widely available across the globe, with more territories opening this year. With smash hit Spider-Man No Way Home raking in $1 billion on the big screen, it looked as if the movie world was returning to normal following the introduction of COVID-19 vaccines. AK, by the way, get your damn shots. I'm sick of this pandemic, and I'm sure you are too. Get your damn shots and help bring it to an end. But with the threat of the Omicron variant shows the pandemic is far from over. With Morbius being postponed just weeks from coming out, it seems the movie release calendar will see more delays and more films skipping straight to streaming as we head into the third year of disruption. For all the release dates, so here's the thing. This article, admittingly this article is properly being a little bit skeptical of Disney's move. Like, hey, you'd think Pixar would be a safe bet. You would think that we would be we'd be over this. Like, but no. COVID is still affecting anything. No, this has nothing to do with COVID. You know what this has? This is Disney basically taking Pixar films and using it to sell Disney Plus. And they are being extremely disrespectful to how they are treating Pixar. Why do I say that? All right, here's the thing. Bob Iger, who I have had many disagreements with. I am not the biggest Bob Iger fan. I like what he does, but I don't love what he does. Under him, some very good things happened with the Walt Disney Company, not the least of which my stock went way higher than I ever thought it ever would. Some of the things I don't like that Bob Iger did, though, is that he franchised Disney. Basically, he had a philosophy that's not talked about anymore, that basically he did not want to greenlight movies unless you could get a sequel, a toy, and a ride out of it. Potentially all three of those things. If you could get those things potentially, he would greenlight a movie. And for the most part, if you look at what Disney movies come out, there are not many movies they make, and I'm struggling to even think of any, to be honest, where a movie came out by Disney and you knew this was going to be the only one, this is a one-time thing, it was just made. No, everything seems like a franchise starter. So I have issues with Bob Iger. But that said, Bob Iger did restore Disney animation. He bought Pixar, and he made entertainment and quality one of the cornerstones of his leadership. He left fairly recently, and in one of the interviews, they asked him, what is the best thing you ever did? And he said the single greatest achievement he did was he bought Pixar. Now, first of all, that was pretty early in his run, so maybe that should give you some clue on why I have some issues with what he did later on. But that said, yes, that is the best thing they did, because keep in mind where Disney was at the time. Disney Animation was not producing hits. They were struggling at the box office. The theme parks were losing relevance. When they bought Pixar, they got Pixar movies that became box office sensations. They sold great on DVD and then later on Blu-ray. You got iconic classic characters like the Toy Story cast and the Incredibles and Cars, even though, you know, we have mixed issues about Cars. You got them into the Disney family and into the theme parks and into the merchandise. Pixar saved Disney. Let me stress that, and I'm itching here, so sorry about that, but Pixar saved the Walt Disney Company. If they did not buy Pixar, I'm not saying Disney would have gone away. Frankly, I have a hard time thinking that would ever happen, but Disney would still be hurting potentially. Pixar saved the company. Then Bob Chapek comes in, and he totally disregards that. No more is Pixar the golden child. No more are they the savior company. They are now the Happy Meal toy makers. And what do I mean by the Happy Meal toy makers? Well, I'm going to share a story, and I'm going to keep names purposefully omitted because a friend from Pixar told me this. I can't verify it. I can't actually tell you if this happened, but supposedly this friend was listening to someone in Pixar who is very high up in the company arguing with Kareem Daniel, the guy who decides where Disney movies go, whether they go to theaters first, whether they go to theaters and Disney Plus, or whether they go straight to Disney Plus. This is the guy who decides to where this is all go. And I have made videos because I don't like this guy. I mean, personally, he might be nice, but I don't like the way he thinks. And this higher up Pixar producer was complaining to Kareem Abdul because Luca had just been announced to go straight to Disney Plus. And they felt there was no reason to do this. I mean, if they absolutely had to, maybe it could go to theaters and Disney Premier Access at the same time, where people would have to pay an additional $30 to watch Luca at home. But that wasn't what was going to happen. Disney decided no theatrical release for Luca, no Premier Access for Luca. Luca's going to just be available on Disney Plus, free of charge for the whole world to see. And this higher up at Pixar was complaining to them that, look, we made your company this many millions of dollars. And he said something, and again, I don't know if this is true. Please, please, please take it with a grain of salt. This is just a friend who passed on information, and I'm being very careful because I do not want to put him in a compromising position. And apparently there were several people around, so this shouldn't do that much damage. But this higher up at Pixar told Kareem Daniel that Pixar did not make the free Happy Meal toys that you give away in the kids' meal. Pixar made the Big Macs. Now, whether this was said or not in real life, speculate. I do not know. But I have to say, if it wasn't, it's a very good analogy nonetheless. Pixar makes the Big Macs. They don't make the chicken nuggets. They are not the apple slices. They are especially not the toy that's free with the meal. They are the main course. Their movies are better than almost anything else that Disney is making. I include Star Wars, I include Marvel. Yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home, which technically is Sony, it's awesome. It's not as awesome as Soul. It just isn't. It's not as awesome as Up. It's not as awesome as The Incredibles. Pixar makes classics. Most of the time, instant classics. And Soul was a classic. Didn't get a theatrical release. It went straight to Disney Plus. Now, when Soul came out, the vaccines were just being released. The box office was going to take some time to recover. And they had delayed it a long time. I was not happy about it. I made a video I was so unhappy about it. But once you calm down and cooler heads prevail, then yeah, maybe Soul deserved to go to Disney Plus. I still think they should have charged for it at least, but it made sense. You know, it seems to be like a tradition now where studios put out a big thing on Christmas Eve when people are just getting their services new or they got their gift cards, they're redeeming them, and what better Merry Christmas than for there to be like a Wonder Woman 1984 or a Don't Look Up from Netflix or a Soul from Disney and Pixar. So I understood it. Didn't like it, but I understood it. Now the next year, Luca goes straight to Disney Plus. Now I was upset about this as well. And this was even more egregious because Disney had decided that Raya and the Last Dragon, Jungle Cruise, Cruella, and Black Widow, they were still going to go to theaters. But because the pandemic was still high there, and keep in mind, Raya opened in February. Me and my wife had to drive to Vegas to see Raya. And it wasn't even that good, to be honest. But all these movies, you could see them in theaters, or you could buy them at home if you wanted to stay at home and be a little safer. Luca was better than all those movies. It was. You might argue a little bit that Black Widow might have been a smidge better if you like action movies more, but most people I know who saw Jungle Cruise, yeah, Luca was better. Most people who saw Raya, yeah, Luca was better. But Luca was the one that Disney decided we're not even going to put it in theaters. And we're not going to charge for it. We're just going to put it on Disney Plus for free. And before anyone says, well, I pay for Disney Plus, no, it's free. It's like the buffet. You pay $8 for a buffet, and after you get so much of your food and you start going to dessert and stuff, it's basically free. You're paying pennies on the dollars. It's free. And there was no reason to do it. Theaters were open in July. People were going to the theaters. There was no reason to do that. And then you move away from Disney for a minute. And Warner Brothers, because of the changing landscape of the pandemic, they do something drastic. They put all of their movies on HBO Max and the theaters day and date. No upcharge. And it's a failure in every sense of the word. It's a failure. Sorry, folks, hold on. Sorry, so I had to go pick my wife up from the hospital. That's how breaking news this is. So anyway, so let's continue this track. Where was I? Oh yeah, HBO. So yeah, Warner Brothers put all their stuff on HBO Max, and it was a failure in every regard. It did not convince anyone to sign up for HBO Max. Sex and the City did, but none of these movies did. Shocking, I know. Space Jam and Tom and Jerry didn't drive subscribers to HBO Max. Like, you know, whatever. And all Warner Brothers did was they just lit money on fire. They just lit money on fire. Then Disney finally puts an end to the Premier Access thing. And what happens? Shang-Chi makes a heck of a lot more money at the box office than Black Widow. Spider-Man makes so much more money at the box office than Black Widow. It's just a fact. What's more, information comes out that, Samba and other companies, they've been tracking illegal downloads. And when you put these movies on a streaming service on the first day, what happens? There is a pristine copy on the internet. You can save it, you can download it. It's not like someone's holding up their little cell phone and they're filming it. I guess you would hold it like this. It's like, oh yeah, I'm filming it. Like, no, that's not what happens. It's a pristine copy. It really, if you are cheap, makes you question, why would you go to the theaters to pay for it if the pristine copy can download for free? And why pay for it on Disney Plus when the pristine copy is free? And then you get to the pandemic. Now, let's go back to this article for a minute and let's touch on a couple points. Morbius being postponed just weeks from coming out. Now, granted, there are some theaters around the world that are closing because of Omicron. It's not like there's nothing going on. But I think that this delay had more to do because Sony is smart. Sony realizes Spider-Man is still raking in money. Hands over fist. Why release direct competition? Delay it till April. That's when Spider-Man's going to be on Blu-ray, by the way. And people can buy Spider-Man on Blu-ray. And then 1 week later, after they've rewatched Spider-Man, guess what? They can go see Morbius. Sony didn't just do this because of Omicron. They did this because they saw a business opportunity. You don't see Scream being delayed. You don't see a lot of movies actually being delayed. But Disney decides, hey, rather than wait a month and see if things get worse, because I don't think things are going to be worse. In fact, Omicron is already starting to peak. Omicron is already starting to peak. But Disney decides, no, just send it. Send it straight to Disney Plus. Another thing about this that's annoying is that, and sorry that you hear the tapping, I thought of something, is that, well, how should I put this? How should I put this? Pixar movies make money in theaters. And not only do they make money in theaters, but Pixar's creatives, this is what really the thought I was going for. Pixar creatives are fed up with Disney. There have been reports, this is not speculation, there have been reports that Pixar employees are not happy. They feel that they are getting shirked. They feel like they're being pushed down. And it's insulting to them. They make these movies for theaters, and one Pixar employee said, look, I know sometimes you can't put things in theaters, but aren't we worth at least an upcharge? Soul was on my top 10 best films of the year list last year. They gave it away for free. Luca, I'm not putting it in my top 10 list, to be frank, but it got 3.5 stars from me. It's very good. Like, Ron's Gone Wrong, which is a cute movie for the record, that was able to go to theaters. And this one's not? What about Sing 2? Disney might make this claim like, oh, families aren't going to theaters yet. Sing 2 has made over $100 million domestically. It might pass $200 million. You never know. Now, granted, that's going to be about $70 million less than the first one, but I also don't think a lot of people were clamoring for a sequel for the first one. Like, Secret Life of Pets 2 did far worse than the original did. But the bottom line is Sing 2 proves that families are going to the theaters. I also think Spider-Man's proven that families are going to theaters. I see a lot of kids at Spider-Man when I go. And then some people might say, well, maybe Disney is just looking at these movies and saying, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, that's what it's called. These are not guaranteed movies to make a lot of money. They're not. They're things that movie have not heard about. Let's just send them to Disney Plus. You know what else seemed like a really big crapshoot to be a big hit? Up. I mean, come on. Seriously, when you watch that trailer and you see it's about an old guy flying his house across the world with balloons, did that scream a $735 million hit? If the movie's good, if it's truly good, people will see it. And you know what I'm also getting a little tired of? I'm starting to feel bad for the Pixar movies that are going straight to Disney Plus, because you know how many years people wanted representation from Pixar. And here's the thing, I am not one of those people who says you need to be representative to be good. I don't think representation for representation's sake is the way to go. That said, I fully support representation. I think movies are much richer when there's representation. You know, if you can do it, do it. And Pixar finally heard that. So they make Soul. It's a primarily African-American cast. What happens? No theaters, straight to Disney Plus. You have Luca. Now, this is primarily Italians, but if you subscribe to the belief that this is about a young gay story for young boys, which I personally don't think it is, but maybe you think it's that way. No theaters, straight to Disney Plus. Then you have Turning Red. I think this is outside of the boy from Up. This is the first major Asian protagonist for a Pixar film. And it's a young girl to boot. I mean, unfortunately, Pixar movies are not very good about making movies with female protagonists. Finding Dory was kind of a rare exception, but there's not many of them where the main protagonist... Oh, and Brave. I guess there's also Brave. But yeah, there's not many. I mean, you have WALL-E, Ratatouille, Toy Story movies have Woody and Buzz. So you're going to send a Pixar movie with their first Asian protagonist, and it's a young girl. That's probably not a box office hit. We're going to send it straight to Disney Plus. How offensive is that? I mean, really, how offensive is that to film lovers, to people in different ethnic groups, to the people who made the films? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm personally frustrated by it. And I'm saddened. Because again, there's no reason to do this. And what's really sad, Disney is showing a clear bias as well. Because again, Raya and the Last Dragon and Encanto, they get theatrical releases. But Pixar, your crown jewel, the studio that laid the golden eggs, virtually every one of their movies was a huge financial and critical hit. Pixar has won 55% of the Best Animated Feature Oscars. No theatrical release for them. Send them straight to video. The way we did Lady and the Tramp 2 and Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World. They're not worth charging money for. Anyway, I don't know exactly what to say about that. I know that I will probably have a chance to see Turning Red in theaters because the El Capitan Theater will almost certainly be showing it for 1 week for Oscar consideration. Me and my wife will probably make a trip out there to see it. And I'm sure that 3D version, which they must have been proud of the 3D in Turning Red because they actually had the preview in 3D. I don't know if we're ever going to see that version now. This is just annoying, and it's frustrating. And you know what it makes me want to do? It honestly makes me want to cancel Disney Plus. Because I almost feel like I'm encouraging this madness, this stupidity, by subscribing to it. Anyway, that's the rant. Not much you can do about it. Although, since they're going to give it away for free, if you want to pirate the movie rather than pay Disney Plus to see it, not encouraging it per se, but I will totally understand where you're coming from. I will totally understand where you're coming from. I just don't know where this makes sense when they say, we got this many millions of views. It's kind of like a conversation I had with someone who didn't like American Express credit cards because he doesn't like points. Cash back, that's something he can measure. What's a point worth? The sad thing is, you can still measure the value of a point in some certain financial sense when you really do the math. When it comes to a view, even I don't know where you wind up on that one. And I run a YouTube channel where I discuss streaming. But anyway, that's where we're going to end this one. I'm going to go look at my wife. This is probably going to go up a little later than I thought, but yeah, sorry that the first video of the new year is so sour. I'd like to know what your thoughts on this are, though. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.